Today we're going to be looking back at Zombies Inside 2018 and see really if it was a good or a bad year for zombies. Now, I know what everyone's going to say and they're going to share your complaints right away down in the comments, but let's actually first look back at the year and see how this year actually went. So what we gotta do first is bring our minds all the way back to our very first map that came out this year. And now I'm remembering that we started the year with okay, I get we're off to a bad start, but we have to remember Treyarch at the end of the year comes out with Black Ops 4 and saves absolutely everything. But our first map of the year is the Darkest Shore, and okay, I know we're off to a bad start, but it's okay because it was just the first map and it's not a telling of what the entire year was to bring, right? As for the Darkest Shore, it had a small...
We wanted to play with this idea of what happens when fog rolls in.
A saw gun.
My favorite weapon in the game thus far. It is a combination buzzsaw gun, and it handles zombies up close and at a distance.
That bounced around, which was actually pretty cool at its own points, but for the most part it wasn't, but it was still cool. It had its moments, to say the very least. There was also a life-size battleship game, which was really fun because you were getting shot at by the ships also, and you had a zombie hitting you the entire time you were playing, so it was pretty darn cool if you ask me.
Watch out! Got it! Another ship coming in.
But we also found these small rocks around the maps that would be hidden in these really awkward locations that actually turned out not to be rocks. They were statues of children, which, I mean, there's a mythology it's based off of, but I don't care. But regardless, there were also some very intelligent, very intelligent zombies. Just ask the creators.
We've created a new zombie. This is a zombie that is clever, that is strategic.
What I ended up calling them were Spider-Man zombies because they look like Spider-Man some way. I just haven't figured it out yet. But these Spider-Man zombies are incredibly intelligent, and it actually shows in game. These Spider-Man zombies were in no way overpowered no matter what you're told. In fact, this is proven that we get to face 3 of these Spider-Man zombies in the boss fight, and their health had to be buffed. So if they're overpowered and their health has to be buffed to go in the boss fight, it actually makes some sense. And on top of that, with these 3 different Spider-Man zombies we get to verse, all of them, they gain new abilities. We have a red one that makes explosions around it, and that does something. And then we also have a green one, and I'm yet to actually figure out what the green one's power is till this day, but it also has a unique power. And then we have ourselves our fan favorite, the yellow one. The yellow one is actually amazing because it also brings back that fan favorite gun that was introduced to us in this map. It's the saw gun, except instead of you using the saw gun, the Spider-Man zombie gets to use it, and it can insta-down you with one of its blades. So it's a really cool, really balanced, by the way. In fact, I would argue that Sledgehammer games are the best at balancing zombies in all of zombies. I mean, just period. It's just, there's nothing else to say. And I think this is proven not only with this yellow zombie or yellow Spider-Man zombie, or even with just the normal zombie, or even some zombies we're going to be talking about in the future, but there's just so many examples you could point to prove that Sledgehammer Games is just so good at balancing zombies. And I mean, come on, they made a fan favorite Spider-Man zombie, or fan favorite boss fight with the Spider-Man zombie that threw blades at you. How does it get better than that? But anyways, it was very cool, and it was the most balanced zombie of all time. That's all I gotta say about that. But now, moving on to our next map, and our next map was the Shadowed Throne. And now I'm actually realizing, and I've thought about this for a while now, but why our maps always started with the. They would be the, and then the rest of the map. Now I've realized it though. It's because a football player came up with all of these. I don't know if you guys watch football, or American football for the people who are losers and don't watch it and think it, when I say football, I'm talking about soccer. But regardless, when you're watching football, you have the players just announcing wherever they're from and these stuff like that, and they'll say, the Ohio State, the whichever college. And that's pretty much what they did right here. It's saying, the Shadowed Throne, the Darkest Shore, the rest of the maps. It's just something I finally figured out. It took me this long. It's been almost a year, but regardless, we finally had that mystery figured out. But anyways, this was also a small map, funnily enough, but it wasn't actually bad like our last map. This one was actually pretty decent. And that's mainly due to the melee weapons, because the melee weapons were quite interesting, and there was actually 3 or I guess 4 different melee weapons, and you had your standard ones, which were a knife, bat, and ice pick, that could also be upgraded to different things. I mean, you have a knife becoming a gold knife, you have the ice pick somehow turning into an axe, and then you have the bat getting spikes on it. I mean, all of those make sense in their upgrade process, except the ice pick to the axe. I mean, I just haven't figured that one out yet, but it makes sense. I just haven't figured it out yet. Just give me a couple more months or years. I don't know. But regardless, there was also a 4th one, I guess you could say, with Barbarossa's sword, which was okay, to say the very least. I mean, there's nothing really special to say about it, but regardless, it was really the first time we ever seen melee weapons work as a good main weapon in zombies. Before, we would try to get these melee weapons. They were always just a solid thing to have just in your pocket, but it was never really seen as a main weapon. This is really the first time we've seen it, minus Shell and Shuffle, because I hate that map, okay? I don't care. Don't tell me about the ugly sword or the ugly nunchucks. I hate that map. I'm sorry, I love IW, but just not that map. The rest of them are fine. But we're not talking about IW. We're talking about not the Darkest Shore. We're talking about the Shadowed Throne. But also in the map, we gained some new access to this new unique zombie type that we'd never seen before. Now, I don't actually care what it's actually called, because I name things way better than anybody else, and I called this zombie Fireboy, because he reminded me of that Fireboy and Lava... Wait, no, that's not a movie. Oh, Shark Boy and Lava Girl. No. Well, it's Fireboy, okay? I don't actually know where I got that from, but I thought it was from Fireboy and Lava Girl, but that's not actually a thing, because I made that up in my head because it was Shark Boy and Lava Girl. But no, wait, is it? I don't remember. Okay, it's besides the point, okay? But regardless, you may be wondering, what is this Fireboy zombie deal? Well, first off, you just have to know, okay, this is made by Sledgehammer, so he's obviously very, very, very balanced. It's something that we've never really seen before, at least in this balance level, by any other zombie creator. But as for what this Fireboy zombie actually did and what exactly it still was, well, first thing you have to understand is that any zombie, any normal zombie, can turn into a Fireboy. And this includes your last zombie that you don't actually want to kill, but secretly you do want to kill. I mean, you want to end the round, but you just haven't found an excuse. And this is exactly why not Treyarch, all those idiots at balancing zombies, but no, why Sledgehammer is so good at balancing, because you always had the last zombie. You're taking him around, you're holding him, just trying to do Easter egg steps, but you really want to kill the zombie because he's really annoying. And now Sledgehammer actually gave you this option to kill the zombie, because you never really had this option before. Because what happened, he'd be normal zombie just chasing you around, and then after a while, the balloon in the sky that Straub is apparently in is going to shoot him with the anchor, which is going to turn him into a Fireboy zombie. And once the zombie is turned into a Fireboy zombie, he is actually going to run faster than you. That is something that we've always asked for in zombies that are faster than us. And of course, once he gets faster than you, you really only have two choices. It's rather die or kill the zombie. Now, obviously, you don't want to die in zombies unless you do. But most of the time, you're just going to kill him, which, again, this is the genius behind Sledgehammer's balancing, because they're thinking, nobody wants a last zombie. What do people always complain about in zombies? Is the last zombie. I mean, I don't want to be carrying a last zombie while I'm doing Easter eggs. How many times have you heard people say that? So they said, what if you just kill him? And they gave you an excuse to do that. And this is the genius behind Sledgehammer's thinking in making these Fireboy zombies. And it's just a thing of beauty. I honestly can't put it any other way. It's actually amazing. But as for what else happens in the map, I actually don't care. So we're just going to skip to the part I do care. And this is actually right before the boss fight. So before the boss fight, you'll actually get to see one of the most tragic events in zombies of all time. And it's actually ridiculous. So let's just get an atmosphere set up just to bring everyone's mind back. So what happens is Straub drops you a little tube to bring you up to the balloon he is in because he wants to, because he has no control otherwise to do so. And he lets you guys come into the balloon he's in, and then from there, you unfortunately cause the zombies that he created to... Okay, we have to set the mood. Come on, play some sad music from the map. Come on. I know Sledgehammer games are just so good at making their soundtrack, so play some music from their sad music from the map, because this is tragic, dude. Because what ends up happening is that Straub is killed by his own creation, man. He was actually killed by his own creation. The zombies that he created go and kill him, and it's actually tragic. It's honestly the saddest death of all time in zombies, period. And in fact, I would go a step further and say that this is the saddest death in any fiction. No, any death ever, even real life ones. Your mom died? Step aside, mom. It's Straub's death that is more tragic. Okay, so let's just understand that. And especially with the soundtrack that they created, it really made it, like, really hit you deep, and it really struck you, and something that you'll remember for a long time. And I mean, it's probably going to keep you in bed, not wanting to do anything for a long time either. So that's also a thing. But regardless, after that, there's a boss fight. Don't know why. I mean, don't even know why we went to the balloon in the first place, to be completely honest, because we went there to get Barbarossa's sword, and we got that, I mean, earlier in the Easter egg, but then we went up, killed Straub. We could have left then, but then we decided to fight the boss fight. But that's something, again, this is just one of those things made by Sledgehammer that is just something we haven't figured out the genius behind yet. It takes a while, just like I said with so many other things, like the balancing. This took us so long to realize how actually good Sledgehammer game are at balancing. So anyways, jumping over to the next map we actually got, and it is the Tortured Path. And actually, I don't want to talk about this map or these maps. I'm not doing it, actually. You know what? Anyway, this leaves us off with our final map, our DLC for World War II zombies. And you know they're going to leave us off with a bang. And you especially know that a football player is still naming these maps, because this map was called The Frozen Dawn. Come on, I have to put "the" right in front of it, just like all the football players. But of course, let's just say this right away, this was clearly the best map in World War II zombies. And that's not saying much, but it's still, I mean, it was still good. I mean, come on, it wasn't bad. Yeah, let's say that. But regardless, surprisingly, there wasn't a new type of zombies that, you know, Sledgehammer is known for. They always like adding a new zombie type for every single map. This goes all the way back to Exo Zombies. They're thinking, oh my gosh, a new zombie type. But this was the first time they ever just made a map and there wasn't a new zombie type. Wait, what? There was a new zombie type. Oh, well, in this map, you would think that there wasn't a new zombie type because you didn't even notice it. Because you know the saying, right? You know the saying that the best service is the one you don't notice. So that's exactly going back to that whole idea that Sledgehammer is just so good at balancing zombies. Come on, they just keep doing it, man. It's just unstoppable. I mean, I didn't even remember there was a new zombie type because the service was so good that I just completely forgot about it. It's just one of those cases. You just gotta give Sledgehammer Games props right there. Once again, just knocking it out of the park with the zombie types inside their maps. Because not only, this is really the pinnacle of their balancing in zombies, because at least I remembered the Fireboy and of course all the other zombie types from all the other maps, but this is a time I didn't even remember where they were a thing. And then no, it's not because they were really ineffective and you just wouldn't really notice them while you're playing a normal game of zombies. No, it's because they were balanced so well that you didn't even notice them. Man, just brilliant by Sledgehammer Games once again. But anyways, in this map, we are actually introduced to 4 new wonder weapons. Not just 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 unique wonder weapons. Never been done before in zombies ever, so this is really new breaking ground for zombies all over again. But in this map, we actually got a shield, a hammer, a scythe, and I don't know what to call it. I guess a teleporter with a knife. I don't know what to call it. It was really cool, but I don't know what to call it. I mean, it had a name, but I'm not actually going to tell you guys the name because I don't remember what it was called. But regardless, it would teleport you around and then you could knife zombies. It was cool, I guess. And I mean, regardless, but the point is that it was cool. But you could also all upgrade all of these 4 wonder weapons, and they all had some really interesting and cool upgrade steps. I mean, you had to do the plan to line them and stuff like that, and then there was a couple other things, just, you know, they're just all great steps to upgrade them. But the one that stands out more than any is that Sledgehammer Games finally did it. What is the step that every streamer's chat has been asking for? They're saying, come on, you have to down yourself in order to do the Easter egg step. Sledgehammer Games finally did it. They were listening to the community. They said, oh my gosh, the community, every single time there's an Easter egg hunt, there's always someone in the chat saying, down yourself in a specific place, and then you will activate the Easter egg step. And they finally did it. Listening to the community. You hear that, Treyarch? Sledgehammer Games is doing it. Why aren't you? Come on, step up to their level. Come on, Treyarch. This is exactly what we've been asking for in zombies. A step in the Easter egg, or an upgrade step, whichever one you want to call it, because it's kind of an Easter egg step too, because you have to upgrade it to get to the Easter egg. But regardless, it's just that it just doesn't make sense why no one else has done this before. It's just like, it's so obvious. It's just what the community has been asking for, and finally, one of the developers actually put an ear out to the community and listened. Now, since I don't really care what else or whatever else happens in the map, I just want to skip to the boss fight, where we actually get to fight the boss, and the boss has a name, and it's called the God King. So the God King is actually very interesting, because calling someone a God King kind of just relates to a really, I guess, a really powerful king or something like that. I'm not actually sure, but regardless, it's a phrase from the past, and you guys may have seen people do this in the past. They get some phrase that is kind of not used anymore, and they bring it to modern day, and then it sounds really cool because it sounds like something that nobody really says, and it's just a really cool saying that wasn't really that cool in the past, but then they bring it back today and it's really cool. But God King just isn't exactly on that level. I mean, it's like beyond that, because it's a saying that nobody liked in the past when it was used, and it was just a normal thing to say. But they brought it to here to call one of their bosses the God King, and it's just so epic, dude. Every single time I'm making a YouTube video, I just automatically put God King in the tags, because I know people are going to be searching that. They're going to search, oh my gosh, the God King, every single time. And it doesn't matter. I don't care if I'm making a video on blackout, on my face, I honestly don't care. If I would have made a video talking about everyone's favorite hentais, I would still put God King down in the tags. That's just how amazing that phrase is. To bring it from the past to today, it's absolutely amazing, and you just have to give Sledgehammer Games props for that. It's just so amazing. But of course, as for the boss fight itself, I actually, when I'm playing in the boss fight, I don't normally call him the God King, because I honestly feel like I'm not worthy to tell that to him, because he's just so amazing and godly and stuff like that. So what instead I call him is SpongeBob. For no in particular reason at all. Not at all. Now, I'm sick of talking about it's World War II zombies, so let's jump into Black Ops 4 because Treyarch's here, boys. They're here to save zombies for everybody. We're going to be having a blast. We're going to have 4 maps at launch, and it's going to be so epic. We're getting a brand new storyline. We're getting the Ether storyline coming up, probably going to be concluded and all that stuff. And then we're just going to have so much content at launch, 4 maps, and it's just going to be the coolest thing of all time. So let's start off with Classified. Classified is a remake of 5, meaning there's nothing new here. I mean, meaning that it looks cool compared to 5. But of course, that's just from a gameplay perspective. Obviously, there's nothing really new from a gameplay perspective because we're playing a remake of 5. But from the storyline perspective, we got a lot of crazy information here. I mean, we learned what happened to Ultimus after Moon. I mean, that's been a question on the community's minds for ages. And then we also heard what happened to Ultimus Richtofen after Buried, because now that we had recently learned that Ultimus Richtofen was, of course, kind of just thrown into his zombie's body by Maxis at the end of Buried. We just wonder what ended up happening to him. We saw him in the comics a couple times, but that was about it. But now we learned that he is actually went back to his own body and just went back to his own Ultimus body, and it was pretty cool. And also, the most interesting one that we actually heard in this is that Treyarch straight rewrote the story of 5. Wait, what? But in this map, we didn't get an Easter egg, and for a while, we thought it was just another thing like the Giant, because the Giant really didn't have a new Easter egg. But later, it was, let's just say, learned, yeah, learned, that's a great way to put it, there was an ending cutscene for this map, but the only way you could get it was by getting to round 150, and this was actually really, really cool because this was Treyarch's way of rewarding high round players, because they just really didn't have much to do except to get to high round. But this would have been that one thing that only the high round players could get to, and all they had to do was get to round 150, which was of course child's play for them. So it was just a really, really cool way of rewarding those high round players.
If there weren't so many CE errors happening, then us high round guys would have been able to get to round 150, and we would have probably already gotten the classified cutscene, and we would have done it first. However, this whole situation just sucks, and it honestly is just a tragedy on 2 parts. And it's tragic because the high round players were going to finally get something. Like, we have been neglected by Treyarch ever since the middle of Black Ops 2, and leaderboards have been infested with glitchers and hackers ever since Black Ops 2 support started. Black Ops 3 was infested with glitchers since day 1, and, like, Black Ops 4 leaderboards still don't, they're not even legitimate leaderboards still on Black Ops 4, and glitchers have yet again won.
Now that was an interesting cut right there, whatever just happened, and this is completely normal, and yes, I am still wearing the same shirt. Of course, why wouldn't I be wearing the same shirt? Because obviously I'm recording this all in one day and totally didn't procrastinate for 3 full days to actually record the rest of this video. Totally didn't happen. I always get my work done all in one day, or at least as much as I can, and of course, again, it's still all in one day, totally not a couple days later, proven by the fact I'm wearing the exact same shirt. But anyway, let's actually jump into our next map, and our next map was actually another Ether storyline map, and of course, this was another not original Ether storyline map, and this is not something that will continue to happen inside Treyarch Zombies forever either, because it's just something that is just in your head and not actually happening. But regardless, this was a reimagine of Mob of the Dead, of course, to make, as we all know, Blood of the Dead. Now, I know there are some criticisms going around currently, and of course, obviously, all of them are very, very unjust, but I know people were saying that we really haven't had an original Ether storyline map for, like, at least 3 years, but, I don't care, and it's fine. And I mean, just think of the benefits of returning to places, especially places like Alcatraz, like we do inside Blood of the Dead. I mean, just think about everything we can learn from Mob of the Dead that we really didn't know, because as we all know, Mob of the Dead left us with so many questions. I mean, who caused Mob of the Dead? Why was it taking place? I mean, what was going on with really almost everything with the Mob of the Dead? And Blood of the Dead is a perfect place for this. We can finally get so many answers for so many questions we had with Mob of the Dead. And if you really think about it, Mob of the Dead has been the biggest question mark with the most questions with 0 leads for so long in the zombie storyline. This is finally that opportunity to answer so many different questions. And of course, there's a lot of different questions out there, but I'm sure you know the main 2 I want the answer to. And of course, we're going to be talking about both of them, because oh my gosh, did they get answered or something like that. And let's first start off with the lesser of the 2, at least in my so humble opinion. And of course, this is the question of what really happened to the Mob of the Dead characters once the cycle was broken. I mean, just think about this. In Mob of the Dead, they kept going through the same cycle, dying over and over and again. And even if you did the Easter egg, but you let the weasel die, then the cycle, of course, would continue. But if the cycle ended by, of course, Weasel killing the other 3 mobsters, it would just end. I mean, what happened? The cycle is broken? Does that actually relate to the main cycle that we are now aware of with Revelations and all this? Is all that? I mean, just think of all the questions we've had with this cycle being broken. And we finally got an answer. And it's amazing, okay? It's amazing, because all of the mobsters are still in the Alcatraz pocket dimension, except they're ghosts. They're ghosts now, and they float around. Not sure what they're doing, but they're floating around, and on top of that, they show up inside Blood of the Dead, and it's actually the reason why we know they are ghosts. And not to mention, the weasel is for some reason not a human ghost, but he is now a seagull ghost, which makes sense, by the way. We just haven't figured. And again, you guys have to remember that Treyarch is just such a masterful storyteller that we just haven't figured out anything. And this is how it works with really everything in Treyarch storylines. If anything ever sounds like it's stupid, doesn't make sense, or anything like that, just know that we just haven't figured it out yet. That's how it just works with, of course, Ether storyline or Treyarch storylines. You just have to always keep that in your mind. But regardless, they actually make their appearance inside Blood of the Dead, so we're going to actually see some reactions and kind of maybe some communications with, of course, Rick Toppin, who was aware of them because he read the Chronorium, and he's going to really see what's really going on. And they, of course, appear for a few seconds and take the warden into the air, but then he falls down a couple seconds later. Okay, that is amazing, guys. I really love how Treyarch really resolved the broken cycle, or the cycle is broken thing in Mob of the Dead, because it really gives me a lot of closure for our mobster characters and seeing what really happened to them. But of course, there's some other bigger questions that we've asked about Mob of the Dead, and this has to be the biggest one of all time, like one of the main questions that people have had in the zombie storyline for so long. And of course, it also got its answer inside Blood of the Dead, and I think you guys know what I'm talking about. And yes, it is. It's the quote from Albert Arlington, or the Weasel, where he says, Nikolai, 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 Nikolai. Why do I keep hearing that name? And of course, as we all know, so many people have been asking the question so long, why is the Weasel hearing Nikolai's name in his head? And we finally got the answer. And it's because, it's because what? Because Nikolai, for some reason, becomes the leader of Primus, and thus making the Weasel hear his name in his head? Oh, okay, huh, that makes sense. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, because it really makes sense when you think about it chronologically, especially because obviously Mob of the Dead takes place, and then of course you have yourself Blood of the Dead taking place, so then that's when Nikolai becomes the leader of Primus then, and then he was hearing it beforehand, because that's how foreshadowing works, guys. And it normally makes sense, just like it again seems like it doesn't make sense here, because I mean, why would he be hearing his name in the head just because he's going to become the leader? Why? Just, I mean, it's again may seem like it doesn't make much sense, and also not to mention, why would he hear his voice or Nikolai's name in his head when, I mean, it hasn't happened, it's not going to happen for a really, really long time? I mean, again, it doesn't seem like it makes sense, but it does, because again, what did I say about this Treyarch storytelling, that obviously nothing makes, every single time something seems like it doesn't make sense, it's just because we're too stupid and we haven't figured it out yet. So, of course, it's just one of those cases all over again. But, of course, there's many other amazing examples of Treyarch storytelling inside Blood of the Dead, but I also want to not leave out any of the Easter egg or gameplay stuff, and I spent too much time on the storyline stuff, so we can only have time for only one of the main things inside the gameplay. And also, I hate the Easter. I mean, the Easter egg is amazing, and of course, I want to save like the best part of the gameplay inside, of course, Blood of the Dead. And I really wanted to find out what is the most important thing inside the Blood of the Dead gameplay wise, and I spent hours searching through the internet thinking, what do people really care about? What do people really like about this map? And I finally came to the conclusion. It's the boss fight. So many people love this boss fight, and I agree entirely. It's the reason why I've beat this Easter egg already over 7 times, I believe. I mean, I just keep doing this Easter egg over and over again. In fact, I'm going to start doing it right now. Not really, because I'm recording a video, but regardless, the reason why people keep doing this Easter egg over and over again is no. It's not because of the challenges that are too difficult and annoying, but it's not also because the Easter egg takes about 3 hours and you just hate your, I mean, you don't have anything else. I mean, that you really want to spend 3 hours doing something really fun. No, it's because the boss fight is just so good, because it's just so fun. It has such a unique way of fighting the boss. And I mean, guess who we're fighting the boss fight? We are fighting the Warden. I mean, the Warden of all people. The Warden has been the guy we've been having so many questions about and just really trying to figure out why he keeps coming back to life. But we're finally just going to face him off and kill him for the last time. He's never coming back after this. And of course, this is all done with the help of Great War Richtofen, when he holds the gem in his hand, of course, from the fire staff, and he makes him vulnerable. And this is where the real boss fight starts. And I know there were some steps before, and those are amazing and all, but this is where the real boss fight starts, because we get to fight a giant Warden. Like, he's at least triple the size of a normal Warden. And then he has the health of a normal Warden, and you just have to shoot in front of him twice with the magma gas. Oh, okay. Very unique, Treyarch. I mean, we've never really seen such an interesting boss fight before. But now let's get into the bad story, I mean the chaos storyline maps, and we're first going to start off with Voyage of Despair. And one of the most amazing things about this map is the Easter egg step, and there's many Easter egg steps inside this. I mean, the boss fight is a giant eyeball from supposedly a god, and there's a lot of cool things in this map, but if I had to really point down, just get down to one thing that really took me back. I really was taken back by this step, because it's really heartwarming to see when you see that Treyarch just goes out of their way to teach just kids that really don't know much about something, or not even kids, or just people who are kind of ignorant of things that they really shouldn't be, and it's kind of just teaching them how they really work and the real order that they are in and what they're called and all that stuff. And it's really nice to see that when you see Treyarch doing that. And of course, I'm talking about the step with the clocks, because the step with the clocks, you actually get to look around the map at least 8 different clocks, it feels like. And of course, you look at these clocks and they are all set to different times. And this is really where the teaching that Treyarch took upon himself to really teach people how to do things. And yes, they're teaching you how time zones work. But of course, we also know Treyarch is also one of the all-time most unique storytellers in really the history of everything. I mean, just think about who tells story in a more of a unique way than Treyarch. Honestly, I'm drawing blanks, except they're not blanks because you have a gun and zombies all the time, and if you're drawing blanks, then of course you're probably going to die, because then you can't kill the zombies. But of course, this is just something that we were really curious in. I mean, how would Treyarch's unique storytelling transfer over to a new storyline? I mean, because we've seen how well it worked with the Ether storyline. There's so many things and so many people following that story, and it's just really crazy to see. And so it really makes you question, what if they actually tried something new? What if they went and made a new storyline? How would that transfer over? Would they pretty much do copy paste, or would they try to change it up a bit, or what exactly, how would this work? It just left so many people wondering, and we finally got that in Black Ops 4 to see how Treyarch would tell a new storyline that wasn't the Ether storyline. And it's amazing. It's amazing. It transferred over just perfect. It's not too little or not too much. And I really think the best way to see how well their storytelling or their method of storytelling transferred over is really in the intro to Voyage of Despair. Because you have to remember, the Voyage of Despair intro is really our first introduction to the storyline. Because yes, of course, we get Dead of the Night later on, which is a prequel, but of course they released that way after Voyage of Despair. But Voyage of Despair is our very first map chronologically, or just, I know it's not released because also 9 was released at the same time, but pretty much chronologically, this is our very first taste at the storyline. And I think the best example of how the amazing and unique storytelling of Treyarch transferred over is to look at the zombie outbreak of Voyage of Despair. And as we all know, this zombie outbreak is caused by one of the occultists using the artifact that our characters were trying to get, and of course the amulet or the necklace that Scarlet also had. So this is really amazing, because it really makes you question why exactly Scarlet would do something that seemingly is so stupid, because we know Treyarch wouldn't just try to start the storyline and say, hey, we gotta figure out how to start the story, so we just write it real lazy, because Treyarch has never ever done anything that is lazy in their entire existence, so we know that's not the case. But of course it really makes you question how exactly they really decided to have Scarlet do this, because as we all know, our characters knew they were looking for this artifact. I mean, that was the main reason they were there. And I mean, I imagine that Scarlet also knew that, but she had the necklace with the amulet or whatever you want to call it on it, and she had to have known that had to do something with the artifact. And of course she wore it around her neck, and then she had it in a place where really anybody could easily grab it, including the occultist that comes and of course grabs it and slaps it onto the artifact, causing the zombie outbreak. And one, of course, that is stupid would ask, wait, why the heck did she have that, I mean, on her? I mean, wouldn't it have been much safer if she didn't have it on her and just had it somewhere much more safe? But no, as we all know, in our experience with of course, Treyarch storytelling, you have to know there has to be some reason behind this. Why would Scarlet do this? Is she working with the occultist? Is she secretly trying to kill her father or something like that, and she's the one behind everything? It really makes you question, because no way in the blue hell would Treyarch ever do something as stupid just to have the whole story start just because Scarlet wanted to wear a pretty necklace. But now moving on to the Ether, I mean, no, we're moving on to the next Chaos storyline map. Again, the Chaos storyline is absolutely amazing, but of course, this is 9, and 9 is a really well-respected map within the community. A lot of people will easily tell you it's the best map in Black Ops 4 and so many different things, and of course, I could easily see why. I mean, you look at the Wonder Weapon in the map, and it's kind of a weird DG2, a Wonder Waffle DG2, because it shoots electricity like the DG2, but instead of just shocking them and then killing them, for some reason it holds them in space and then starts spinning them in circle in the air for a little bit and then kills them sometimes. But yeah, it's unique. It's something we really never seen before. It's something, it's just so cool. I mean, it makes perfect sense when you see a scorpion shooting electricity out of it. It's something that always has made sense and always will make sense. Another thing that a lot of people love about 9, and this is mainly the reason why so many people love this map so much, is that in 9, past round 15, you constantly have at least 9,000 different zombie types chasing you on the map, at least pretty much all the time it feels like, because you have to remember, you have the normal zombie, you have of course yourself the fire zombie, water zombie, electric zombie, poison zombie, tiger zombies, gladiators, brawlers, and blight fathers. That's 9 different zombie types in the map all at once. And that's pretty crazy. And on top of that, most of them spawn pretty frequently, minus the Blightfather. That's the only one that's pretty rare. But of course, it's 9 different zombie types all at once. It really brings me back to the good old days of exo zombies. I know I've been speaking to people lately and kind of sending shade towards exo zombies, but now thinking back to it, I really missed when you had about a billion different zombie types chasing you all at once, because you have to remember, oh, I gotta go kill the blue zombie or the water zombie right away because he's going to buff up all the zombies, and that's going to be a pain for me. Or I gotta make sure I don't walk by that fire zombie, and then I don't want to walk by that poison zombie, especially after I've been hit. And there's just like so many different things that you have to constantly think about all at the exact same time, because they're all in the map at the exact same time, and you gotta love it. That's something that we really were missing in zombies, that really we lost after Exo Zombies came out, and we finally regained that inside 9. It's really probably the best thing, and I imagine the main reason why so many people love 9 so much. But anyways, speaking of elephants, even though we weren't, the Easter egg is something else. I mean, letting you play the zombies just normally till round 18, because you really can't do the Danu step, which is pretty much the first step of the Easter egg, till round 18, is a really smart idea, because every single time I get on an Easter egg, I'm thinking, well, what do I want this Easter egg to be? Well, I mean, I like playing zombies normally, and I also like doing Easter eggs. So what if we just combine the two, and just for the first 18 rounds, I pretty much just play zombies normally, and that's it. I mean, and then round 18, I'll start doing the Easter egg. I get the best of both worlds in one. Play zombies normally for the first 18 rounds, and then do the Easter egg. Why hasn't anybody done this before? Because you've never really had the option before. You always had to start the Easter egg right away. Especially all the time. I mean, that's never been a thing. It's just been impossible. I can't think of another map that you could just play the map normally and then eventually get into the Easter egg. And of course, no map would ever give you the option to just, if you just wanted to do the Easter egg right away, and then you could just do it. Or if you wanted to play the map normally for a little bit, then do the Easter egg. None other Easter egg has really given you that option, but this is the very first time it's ever happened. And except this time, it's mandatory, because that is just what people were asking for. Playing zombies normally for the first 18 rounds, then we'll get to the Easter egg. I really like the thought process Treyarch had there. It just really blows my mind that no one's thought of it, because it's so simple, but they really found a way to really surprise the community and make people really love it. But of course, throughout this Easter egg, of course, every single appeasing god step is just so good, but I could spend every 2 seconds talking about every single small detail of these appeasing steps, but I just don't have the time for it, unfortunately. So instead, and unfortunately, I'm just going to have to skip to the boss fight. I know, I want to talk about so many different steps, especially where you have to get a different pack punch variant, the kilowatt, and then kill the zombies in a very specific place inside some small circles and stuff like that. I love that step so much. It's honestly so amazing, and I would really love to spend every single second of this video breaking down why it's so amazing. I can't even speak right now because it's so amazing, but of course I just am short on time right now. I cannot do that. But on the other hand, we could talk about the boss fight. And the boss fight, we get to face 2 different elephants. Well, at first we get to verse just a normal boss zombies in this giant area, but then an elephant breaks out of the wall and you have to kill him. The only way to kill him is just by shooting him for a really long time. He's totally not a SpongeBob like, of course, the God King inside the Frozen Dawn. Totally not the case. He actually has very unique ways of attacking him, and what those are is shooting him in his weak spots. And then he's SpongeBob in those weak spots. I mean, he's still SpongeBob even if you're shooting him not in the weak spots, except he's a bigger SpongeBob. But of course, if you shoot him in the weak spots, then it's a easier SpongeBob, because it doesn't take as many shots. So it's very smart, because on top of that, you have to fight 2 elephants, and I've already mentioned this, but it's just the case. Yeah, okay. I don't know what else to say about this boss fight. You just get to fight 2 giant elephants that are large and take a lot of shots. But now to get into the last zombies map of 2018. And of course, you guys know what I'm talking about. That's Dead of the Night, or as I personally like to call it, the best and by far the most beautiful map of 2018 inside Call of Duty Zombies. And of course, I really want to ask you this. I want to challenge you guys to this. Name me a more beautiful map than Dead of the Night, or again, as I call it, the best map. In fact, that's what I'm calling from now on. Name me a more beautiful map than the best map of 2018. Honestly, I'll wait. Not really, because that'd be a waste of time, because there isn't one, okay? There's not a more beautiful zombies map than the best map of 2018. Let's be completely honest here. Just looking at the Atlas statue, to the match in itself, to just, of course, the graveyards, and of course, you have yourself the greenhouses, and then maybe the forest is a little, I mean, it's just okay, but the rest of it is just so beautiful. Don't even get me started on the Danu room. Oh, that thing is just a thing of beauty. You really gotta love this map and its beauty. It is just amazing. The best map of 2018 is by far the most beautiful map maybe in zombies of all time. I would say that easily, personally, but of course, there's a lot of other things about this map than just being the best map of 2018 and the most beautiful, because I would also ask you which map in 2018 has a better Easter egg than the best map of 2018. Oh wait, I mean, what are you going to say? The Darkest Shore? Heck no. What are you going to say? Blood of the Dead? No. 9? No. Voyage? No. Classified? Definitely no. I mean, there's just, you name any Easter egg, this one clearly has the best one. I mean, do you not get why I'm calling this not Dead of the Night and instead calling it the best map of 2018? I mean, think about it. Which one has a better wonder weapon in 2018? None. I mean, the only one that comes close is a Magma Gap, but that's kind of just a redone thing from, of course, Mob of the Dead, so it's not really that much. It's just clearly the best map of 2018 for so many different reasons. And I would even say this, I would go as far to say this, that I would ask you this, I would challenge you to this. Name me a better boss fight than, of course, the one inside the best map of 2018. And you have to understand, just a couple days ago, I made a video complaining about this boss fight. And I still think it's the best boss fight that we got inside 2018. And this is just showing you the year we've had in zombies. Just off of everything I've said, just to see it this way, to see that the best map of 2018 is the best map of 2018, it just really makes you question, what did we really have in 2018? But, of course, I mean, there's only one bad thing to say about the best map of 2018, and of course, this is that the storyline didn't add anything new to the story, because it kind of was all spoiled in Voyage. But, of course, you know what else didn't give us any new information for the story? Something, but I'll think about that one and then we'll come back to it. But seriously, I'm being completely real here for a second, that Dead of the Night is by far the best map of 2018 for so many different reasons, and it's not even funny. So, of course, that is about it for the video and the look back at zombies in 2018. But I would love to hear what you guys thought of zombies in 2018 and what you think about my assessments of every single map that came out inside 2018. And I would also very much appreciate all the normal YouTube stuff, a like, subscribe, bell, share, and just all of that, because this video took me just like about 50 years to make. It feels like it probably didn't. It probably just felt like that long because I just took forever to make it and stuff like that, because I procrastinated a lot. But still, it felt like a lot of work, and I'm pretty sure it was a lot of work, so I really would appreciate all that stuff. But anyways, that's about it for me. If you guys did enjoy the video, then of course I already asked for subscriptions, all that stuff, so I won't say that again. But anyways, I'm gonna go, and I will catch you guys in the next stream, video, or whatever it may be. And laters, guys.